Evening.
It, oh, sorry. It is 6 o'clock, so the work session for mayor and council for August 21st is called to order. Ms. Hood, can we have a roll call, please?
Roll call for August the 21st, 2023 work session. Mayor Butler,
Present.
Councilmember James,
Present.
Councilmember Anton,
Evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez, Councilmember Akins Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you so much. We have no presentations, correct?
No, ma'am, not for the work
All
session.
right, excellent. Old business, item 1, council discussion and approval of charter amendment to establish new ward lines. Background and history. At the last council meeting, the city council approved the first reading of this charter amendment revising the ward lines in the city. Municipal charters may be amended by ordinances duly adopted at 2 regular consecutive meetings of the municipal governing authority, not less than 7 nor more than 60 days apart. This is the second and final formal adoption. Legal notices advertising this amendment will run in the Clayton News Daily as required by law. Mr. Clark, is there anything, or Mike, is there anything you would like to add?
Not with respect to the charter amendment, but we did place on in front of you a document requested by the county. It's a minor amendment to our agreement with the county for running elections. There are only 2 changes. The first change is that they've asked that the city be responsible for notifying residents anytime there's a change in districts, which we put in there, but it still remains the county's responsibility to send out new precinct cards once a change is made. So as you know, you've already taken steps to notify residents, and that will continue to be an ongoing function. And then as soon as this is done tonight, the county has all the data, so they should be able to prepare new precinct cards very quickly thereafter.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman James, questions or comments?
No.
Councilman Antoine?
No.
Councilwoman Gutierrez?
No.
Councilwoman Wells?
No.
And Councilman Mears?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I do just want to add that I did speak with Shauna Dozier over in the Clayton County elections. She's the director, and she did ask us that while we are within our legal right, within the 60 days, that we do whatever we can to aid them in this process to make it as smooth as possible, given that now they're under a time restraint. Thank you. Item 2, council discussion and approval of conditional use permit for self-storage at 4140 Jonesboro Road. Background and history. This is a request for a conditional use permit to allow a 6,152 square foot renovation in the rear of the International Discount Mall to build self-storage units in the rear of the facility. This item was approved by the council but vetoed by the mayor. At the August 7th, 2023 council meeting, it was brought forward to council to consider overriding the veto. City council decided to table the item until the next meeting, which is August 21st of 2023, to allow for the following items to be addressed. First, the applicant must comply with the conditions stated and submit outstanding documents. And second, staff provides an update on the number of businesses in the International Mall that made an effort to obtain current business licenses based on the list provided at the August 7th, 2023 council meeting. You have the floor, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
And in your packet, the applicant did provide a copy of authorization from the property. Number 3, the applicant was to provide detailed renderings of what total of the building would look like. Total of the building structure with an attached render number 20 was provided. Rendering of the storage unit and building style were not provided or clarified, even upon the day when staff reached out to the applicant. Provide sewer policies to owners. storage unit and also unit.
Ms. Gardner, can you talk directly into the microphone, please? Okay, can we make sure it's on? I'm sorry.
Okay. Divas Boutique Booth 415 as of today. Lola Religious General Merchandise Booths 430 and 440. Rear property where proposed storage facility entrance and exit must be well lit and cannot be dark at any time for safety reasons. No lighting plan was submitted. And the last condition, if applicant is the business owner, we have the right to refusal. Every booth has to have an active business license with the City of Forest Park. And based on the information received, all businesses are not current or have an active business license.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Councilwoman James?
No.
Councilman Antoine?
So what's your recommendation?
Based on the last statement, it would be my recommendation that the veto stands.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure. But ultimately, it's your decision as the policymaking body, based on the evidence presented.
Any other questions or comments?
No, that's good.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
No.
Councilman Mears?
Yes, ma'am. Has the fire department been over and looked at it and fire safety and everything is in compliance with the fire department as far as storage and everything over there?
The fire department did go over, I don't have that information right now, but that was not one of the conditions as far as when staff reviewed the report.
Well, let me clarify that, if you will, Mayor Butler.
Yes, sir.
Based upon this being addition to the structure, the fire department would have to give final okay for the revision of those plans once they are submitted.
Correct.
Even if it's not a condition, that's standard.
Okay. Well, I know what
And that would be something also that would take place during the building permit review process when plans were submitted, if this goes forward.
I'm just kind of confused because I thought, so it's gonna be inside, is it inside or outside?
It's
It's
inside, but it's still
interior.
exterior modifications. So they still have to be reviewed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 3, council discussion and approval of a change order for the Main Street Streetscape Project. Background and history. The city awarded a contract to BRTU Construction, Inc. to construct Phase 2A Main Street Streetscape Project. The contractor is asking for a contract modification with the execution of this change order. The change order is for additional items required by the project due to unforeseen existing conditions, time delays caused by the utility relocations, and additional work requested by the city. This amount includes $61,122.50 that the city approved on May 1st of 2023. The change order is outside the scope of the original contract and exceeds the city manager's authority and requires city council approval.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Evening.
Are you all doing this evening?
Wow, thank you for asking.
Your department has blue on. Nice. Nice touch.
This contract change is due to unforeseen existing conditions. And the major change in this change order is a time delayed by the utility companies. I've never seen anything like this before, but in order for BTRU to finish this project, they've already finished what they need to do. What they need to do is come back and finish once Georgia Power has removed their poles. They have to come back and put in bricks and put those bricks in where missing around the poles. The other thing is that we had some remodification of drawings because of the previous engineer, Roberts and Company. Those drawings were way off. And we had to modify people's driveway in order to make it work for them in their project. And so the change order is basically $142,673, but 61,000 of that is what you approved on May 1st. What I've done is I put all the change orders together. You can see every last one of them that we have. If they're in your package, they go from 1, I think there's 1 to 8 change orders. And this change order is basically $86,551,038. The majority of the project is completed. I hope you've all had a chance to go down and look at it. I spoke to the utility company today to get the lights turned on the new lights. So they're working on that for us. But other than that, it looks really nice. And again, if you haven't had an opportunity to go down, I hope you get a chance to go down there.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Councilwoman James?
Thank you for the work that they are doing on Main Street. The only comment I have is the leftover, there's a pipe, or I don't know, it's on Reverend Beal's property. It's a round metal piece. And he complained about that. And he also said that the parking lot is now getting backed up. So it's created some blockage in, I guess, the repair they were doing.
I know that item you're talking about. I think that's utility. I'll find out what it is. I saw it the other day. And I don't understand the blockage.
I guess I'll get the city manager to talk with Dr. Beeler about it, but apparently the storm water or something with their drainage that they used to drain out of the parking lot, but now it's kind of staying around the parking lot.
We can address that.
Okay. And Mr. Shelby, just as a point of reference, this is the matter that I forwarded last week. I think it was Thursday.
That was it. I went out there, I couldn't figure it out. Okay, then. All right.
Councilman Antoine?
Nope.
Councilman Gutierrez?
No, I'm good.
Councilwoman Wells?
So the 61,000 is what we approved before, and you said it was 100 and.
Altogether, it's $147,673.88. What I've done, Councilman Wells, I just took all the change order and put them into one packet so you can see it at once. But you've already approved 61,000 of that.
So on top of the 61,000, because they got to pull is it that many poles? They got to lay that many bricks?
What they're doing is it's the wooden poles that got to get removed. And once they remove those poles, they got to come back in there and put in those bricks. It's more so of a time delayed. We're holding up the contractor. And of course, they charge for that. And so now the contractor could have been done almost 3 months ago. And now he's going to be done, according to this, substantial completion on September the 15th and final payment on September the 30th. Yes, ma'am.
We got to pay them 80-some thousand for giving them a break. Okay, thank you, Mr.
I
Shelby.
mean, they have to remobilize, have to bring all the equipment back out to the site. I mean, it's a lot.
Thank you.
Councilman Mears?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Item 4, council discussion and approval of the Elmig Street paving, background and history. Elmig Street paving contract has been approved by GDOT, and the funds given to the city of Forest Park are in the amount of $213,458.13 for fiscal year 2020, with the city matching 30% at $64,037.44. The city of Forest Park received $201,376.26 for fiscal year 2022, with a city match of 30%, which is $60,412.88. And the city of Forest Park would receive $205,949.13 for the fiscal year of 2023. And we don't have that matching total yet. I didn't do the math. Do you have that figure?
Should be in the neighborhood of 62,000.
Okay. The total funds received is $620,783.52. And the total match is $124,450.32, not including the match for 2023, correct?
That's correct.
Right, thank you. The city of Forest Park would be responsible for the 30% match totaling $124,450.32. This will be a budget adjustment request to be allocated from the unrestricted fund balance. The city of Forest Park is required to match 30%. Each local government is required to match this formula amount in accordance with Code Section 48-8-244D. And you have the floor, gentlemen.
I apologize. I need to stand corrected. Jeremy.
Mayor and council, good evening. The reason why there's no match next to the FY 2023 is because that was already budgeted for. So the basically the grant monies or the deposit and that 30% was matched. Now for 22 and 20, the 30% was not budget. Therefore, we're requesting the budget adjustment from the unrestricted fund balance to cover the cost of the 30% per those respective dollar amounts for a total of $124,450.32. The total funds received and budgeted for and or accounted $620,783.52. So the budget adjustment is for the $124,450.32 only.
Councilwoman James, questions or comments? Councilman Antoine,
No, man.
Councilman Gutierrez,
No, thank you.
Councilwoman Wells,
No.
Councilman Mears. Okay, I'm just curious. How was it not budgeted like in 2020? In the 2021 budget cycle? Like, how did we miss a couple of years without reallocating these funds?
That's a great question, Mayor.
So, and I smile because that's the reason why this item has been delayed, because I can't figure it out. But the other thing to note, Mayor Butler, is that even when we approve these funds, because some of the roads on this list are roads that the council members are really trying to get paid, we're not on the schedule until 2024 for these road pavings. But this $124,000, Mayor, I have some conflicting information relative. I shared with Mr. Jenks the email today from Clayton County, or from Friday from Clayton County. But it appears that just because staff has turned over in both Clayton County's office as well as this office, their records don't even show requests for some years, according to their email. And so we're just trying to piece it together. One of the things we do know, I believe it is Pine Ridge. Is that the one that connects to Lake City?
Yes, and we have made requests each year.
Mhm.
And we had contracts signed for all them years, and it got stuck on the back burner on the county end. And then last year, when they were able to do it, the funds were not available, so I had to cut them streets.
So we are meeting with the county. We had a meeting with them last week to share our sentiments that these roads get fixed quickly. Or if not, Mayor Butler, what we also plan to do is bid out the roads ourselves and get a quote on us doing it with our own contractor. Of course, with service delivery strategy, we are only paying we're paying the county's cost for it. So we're getting it at cost based upon us being one of the 7 municipalities. But the reason why this city has been waiting is because the county is backed up with streets. But I don't know that we should continue
To wait.
because I'm hearing this from some council people every week.
Councilwoman Wells.
About.
I will say that you did receive a phone call today that I did make a phone call to Lake City, and they did commit.
Lake
The other
City has
portion.
committed. I believe that's Pine Ridge.
That
They
is
would do their portion if we did our portion, and Clayton County is already mobilized in the city of Lake City. but I don't think any paving has happened of this magnitude in Forest Park in probably the last 3 to 4 years. Well, we know it's not, the money is still there.
It's 2018, we did 12 streets and and during that, we did do College and Phillips Drive.
All right, thank you, Councilman Gutierrez.
Yeah, thank you for the information. I guess in the future, is it possible, I guess, City Manager or Bobby, to get when these options of you opting out of the roads or not, because the money might not be there? I think that's something that is very important, at least to me, and I know most of the council, where we can try to find that money or whatever it is. Is that something?
It is. What I believe happened in the past, I believe these contracts went to the city manager and the selection of streets went to the city manager. So the governing body never even knew which streets it was. In an attempt to be more transparent because of how political this process can actually be, and we want to make sure that we're focusing on roads being repaired based upon a matrix of conditions of roads. The reason why this was delayed is because I had staff put it on the agenda, so that collectively, the governing body knows what this process is. This is where we get the money from once a year annually. We apply for the LMIG grant dollars. It only covers a small portion of it. We subsidize it with SPLOST dollars or any other funds, but it makes sense. If you have capital ward funds, if some of these streets are within your wards, we could subsidize the cost and bid it out right away and get a quote on it.
Yep.
That way you're not waiting.
So it would be, I guess, if that happens again, we would know this time around.
We would. One of the things that we're probably going to look to do over the course of the next 360 days is do a prioritization schedule for these roads, to where we go out and evaluate all of the roads, whether it needs to be mill, resurface, how many potholes on the road, can we do heavy patch or cold patch on the potholes, depending on when the season is, and then come back and share with you, this is a prioritization list of these roads, and this is our plan, similar to what we do for the capital outlay for the apartments. This is our plan to begin to repair these roads, because some of them are in very bad condition, and the center line on some of these roads is missing.
Mhm. All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question just because of the conversation. So these grants that we are applying for is not contingent on us working with the county?
So the grant dollars that we receive are from the Georgia Department of Transportation. It's called LMIG dollars, and you receive your share of LMIG dollars is based upon the amount of roads that you have, square miles that you have. And so each year, Public Works goes in and they input, this is our mileage. Of course, it never changes unless you annex property. And then the state gives you one time a year that funding. Now, the caveat to all of this is that you're only able to carry over funds for 3 years. Forest Park has funds that are 3 years old. And so with the county not being able to do the work until next year, we're going to have to go back to GDOT to see if they will perhaps give us some grace. Or my recommendation is, depending on the roads that the county is able to get done, like Pine Ridge, they're already stationed in Lake City doing their roads. They probably can do that while they're over here, because once they leave Lake City, they're going to Riverdale to do the projects on their list.
So we don't have to use the county is what I'm asking.
It's much cheaper to use the county, but you do not have to.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just confused. Like, yeah, thank you for, I guess, clearing up the 3-year backtrack. Because I really, we haven't been, I haven't seen any paving in a minute. So how's that going to look, Ricky? Are we going to be able to do that in time? That's what you're working on, is to get this, so our money, we don't lose it. And then does that money go, it's like a credit we have with the county, or we get the money? Why are we going through the county if the money comes to us? Do they get the money and we get a credit with them?
No, so through service delivery, and this is with all 7 municipalities in Clayton County, we receive a percentage of money through GDOT that has nothing to do with the county. For paving projects across the county within these municipalities, the county, because they do a master contract for a concrete company to do this work around the county, you're only paying them for the work that they do through their contractor. But based upon this service delivery strategy, it's cheaper for us to do it that way because they pay for labor or something. It's one or the other.
We get the checks and we just basically pay any subcontractors and for the material is what it boils down to.
Yeah, so it's cheaper than us having to procure it and do all of the work ourselves.
Well, technically, it's not cheap because we ain't getting nothing done.
It's
So
not
we-
quicker, but it's cheaper.
Right, so we might as well, I'd rather, sometimes you get what you pay for. So the residents are suffering because of that. So I would rather just do away with the county and do what we need to do so we can get it taken care of. Because yes, I have been talking about it for maybe 4 years now.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring this before you so that you all understood how this process actually works. Now, we can, through our procurement department, we can look at the roads after we have another conversation with Clayton County and look at some of those other arterial streets, bid them out collectively in a bulk and see what kind of pricing we get, and then bring it back before mayor and council.
Thank you. Thank you. Item 5, council discussion and approval on reaffirming our commitment to the Civil Rights Policy Title VI. Background and history. The city of Forest Park is required by law to ensure we do not discriminate when it comes to employment matters, contracting matters, and any other matters pertaining to benefits to the public. It is proposed that the city reaffirm its commitment to non-discrimination, publish a statement on its website, and authorize staff to make such policy available to those who request it. In addition to providing a clear, unmistakable expression of the city's policy, it will also help the city when it comes to obtaining grants or other resources from the federal government or from the state. And you have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
This is being brought forth to the Mayor and Council for approval. Currently, we don't have anything on our website that indicates that we are in compliance with the Title VI requirement for if a vendor has a complaint. So this is just bringing forth to you to ask that we approve this so we can put it on our website and I be listed as the Title VI coordinator.
Councilwoman James, questions or comments?
Thank you for bringing this up.
Councilman Antoine?
No, thank you.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Wells? And Councilman Mears?
No, man.
All right, thank you. Item 6, council discussion and approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority. Background and history. The Downtown Development Authority proposes to issue $4,245,000 in bonds to finance the acquisition of property and certain infrastructure in the downtown area as part of the city center project. A portion of the bond proceeds will be used to reimburse the city for a portion of the cost of acquiring the old Rite Aid building and renovating the building to be used as a business incubator as previously presented to the city council. The remaining proceeds will be used to acquire the adjacent business plaza for use as part of the city center project. The bonds will be secured in part by a pledge of the city to make debt service on the bonds if necessary. The bonds will first be paid through the funds of the Downtown Development Authority and rent revenues from said project. And Mike, yeah.
Madam Mayor, this was something that was previously discussed with the council with respect to acquisition of real estate. And so this is sort of the final step for the city to take. And the DDA is set to adopt its portion at a special called meeting tomorrow. So we're recommending approval and proceeding with this.
Councilwoman James.
Yes, is this in addition to other bond monies that we just approved?
Yes.
Yes, but it's for separate projects.
So the Rite Aid property, how did we acquire the property if we're trying to get the bonds now to acquire the property?
So the city paid for that with fund balance. So a portion of this would be paid back to the city to replenish that fund balance that was already spent.
So with this, okay, so with this, what we're saying is, instead of it being property of the city, it will now be the property of the DDA?
That's right. For the period under which it's operating as a business incubator, per state law, the city can't operate that kind of function, but the DDA can. And so it'd be transferred for however long it operates as a business incubator. And then, the city would be repaid for that amount.
Okay. Thank you.
Inflow and outflow from the DDA back to the city to pay the bond. The only difference is the city can't do that type of a deal. It's just a tool.
No questions. No questions.
I have a whole lot of them, but I pass. Mayor's
No,
any
I can't.
questions?
No question.
Okay, so as Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor had asked me to step in, so there's no additional questions for this item. All right, we're gonna move on to item number 7. Council discussion and approval of fire department contracts relative to training expenses and legal.
So, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I can speak to this. So we currently have a policy that requires new recruits and existing firefighters to sign agreements to reimburse the city should they leave prior to a certain time period. So they would reimburse the city for the cost of the training and expenses incurred. What you have before you are 2 agreements updating what we had previously used. So now the agreement would require that they serve for at least 3 years. And upon the 3-year completion, then their obligation to reimburse the city would go away. So there's one agreement for recruits because that's a different type of training and that's all upfront costs. And then for existing firefighters, paramedics, if they get additional training, then that additional training would be subject to reimbursement were they to leave the city prior to that 3-year period. So we're recommending that you all authorize us to use these updated agreements.
Anything additional you would like to add, Chief?
Yeah, as a city attorney just predicated, one of the contracts that we already have existing, it's a 2-year contract. But being that we're spending almost 80,000 on each recruit, including uniforms, training, any overtime costs, providing them a beautiful experience to be professional firefighters for Forest Park. In the event that they do leave, they would have to reimburse the city prior to that contract. So it is currently 2 years. We've increased it to 3 years, as well as added the cost line that we can complete for each recruit pending their tenure. The second contract is for paramedic reimbursement. As we've been discussing with council, one of the ways that we incentivize our members is to and empower them is to reimburse them if they 100% if they get a grade of A or B, 50% for C, and below that, nothing. So we have 2 members that are currently waiting to be reimbursed. We just need these contracts to be executed.
One query. So the police department, that contract that they execute is statutory, it's in state law. Is fire the same or would this go through small claims court or something? How would you?
Yeah, there'd be a litigation matter, should we ever have to enforce it. So yes, sir, it is different from the peace officers that is set forth in state law.
Any questions, Councilman?
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Councilwoman Wells?
No.
Councilwoman Years?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. for
Madam
taking
Mayor,
over.
we're on item 8.
Item 8, council discussion and approval of the revision to the personnel manual with respect to employee suspensions. Background and history. It is proposed that the city's personnel manual be revised to provide that suspensions without pay are permitted as part of the city's disciplinary process. The city's current positive discipline policy inadvertently appears to preclude the city from suspending employees without pay in severe circumstances where it may be warranted. This amendment clarifies that suspension without pay is permitted as part of the disciplinary process. Mr. Clark, Ms. Brown, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor Council. Again, I bring forth this item for approval to amend the current policy in our existing policy, it indicates that suspension with pay. So the revision will allow that the department head use suspension as a form of discipline without pay, and that will be permitted. This will also be in line with our progressive disciplinary policy, and will also ensure that we are consistent with our policy and our actions.
Thank you. Councilwoman James.
So this is not to eliminate, it's just to add to.
Add to, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilman Antoine. Councilman Gutierrez.
No, thank you.
Councilwoman Wells.
No.
And Councilman Mears.
No.
All right, thank you. Item 9, council discussion and approval of the One Light Initiative, background and history. In reviewing lighting conditions throughout our community, excuse me, we have noticed many areas that are either underlit or not lit at all. In an effort to mitigate this for both safety and pedestrian purposes, we are launching an initiative in partnership with Georgia Power entitled One Light. This initiative will repair and upgrade nearly 1,900 light fixtures throughout the city to increase the city's street lighting footprint over time. Is this you? All right, you have the floor, sir.
Mayor and council, this is just another initiative that we are launching in partnership with Georgia Power, who is here with us tonight for a short presentation regarding this initiative. As you know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we rode the city at nighttime with members of the police department, members of various departments. And what we found was that there are a lot of lights in this city that are either inoperable or they're using older technology. And so this One Light initiative follows the blueprint of our One Forest Park initiative that we launched within this 100-day action plan. As you can see there on the screen, that is the logo that we are using. We are excited that we are partnering with Georgia Power relative to this initiative, because the first phase of this initiative, which will be lighting up our senior center, will be absolutely free, taking them from the older lighting technology to the newer enhanced LED lighting on the perimeter of their project. Mayor Butler and council members, we have 2 members of the Georgia Power executive team that are here with us tonight to present further regarding this initiative and to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you all doing this evening?
Good evening.
I'm Jeremy York. I'm your key account manager here in Clayton County. And so we don't take it lightly for the City of Forest Park for the opportunities that we have available for you all. And joining me this evening is our lighting executive, Joe Cobb.
Good.
Hello.
Good evening. Thanks for having us tonight.
Good evening.
Next slide, please. On June 26th at 8 p.m., we had the honor of taking a trip throughout the City of Forest Park and noticed the areas that were well lit and the areas that were not, that needed improvement. And so the challenges that we noticed based on our conversations and our tour that evening, we noticed that there were challenges related to enhanced safety for Forest Park citizens, energy efficiency lighting, maintenance issues. There were some areas needing improved lighting, primarily senior center as well as the police precinct and more. Now, there are also rising operating cost challenges and lack of continuity in lighting fixture types, i.e. your LED lighting fixtures that are more advanced technology as opposed to the high pressure sodium and metal halide. Next slide, please. So as a result of that, the benefits for the One Light Forest Park initiative would be the partnership between the City of Forest Park and Georgia Power, no upfront capital costs, options that we have available for you all, shifting maintenance from City of Forest Park to Georgia Power as we own the lighting fixtures, own and maintain those lighting fixtures, customer-driven solutions. Being that this is a partnership, we'd love to have your input and with the solutions and the lighting output for the areas to improve the continuity and efficiency and safety for the City of Forest Park citizens. Also minimizing rising operating costs and creating consistency and visual appearance of lighting. Next slide, please. This picture description is a graph that we created when we pulled up the data and the account numbers for
for City of Forest Park. And as you see here, the monthly cost for each account is shown. One of the key indicators that I noticed right off the bat was the HID lighting. There's some immediate needs of improvement for those lighting that we can upgrade to LEDs to have more sufficient output for your citizens in your areas. Next slide, please. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Call.
Thanks, Jeremy. So what we've got here in front of us is kind of a little bit of a line item breakdown of locations and accounts where we have old technology. This is your existing lighting that you've currently got in the field that is the older HID technology that we can upgrade to the new LEDs with zero cost out of pocket. And your cost per month actually goes down a little bit because we've got a few locations where, we would recommend removing some lighting or maybe changing the fixture to just slightly reduce the cost. So I'd almost call this kind of a no-brainer page. There's 101 fixtures right off the bat that we can upgrade that are going to be absolutely no cost to the city. Next slide, please. So as we look at future opportunities to increase lighting levels along Forest Parkway, increasing lighting levels in the high pedestrian conflict areas with people and traffic, the police non-emergency facility, the 2nd Street Park is a location that we visited on our night ride. The streetscape lighting fixtures that we have that are currently that were mentioned earlier tonight, and I'd be glad to leave a card with the contact for Georgia Power. I think I may have an idea of what's happening there with the poles that are being delayed, but glad to address that as well. So anyway, we'll go to the next slide if we could, and I'll help you maybe look at some future opportunities. These would be optional locations where we can come in and do some lighting upgrades. One of those larger ones are the city's 118 lights that are owned by the city and maintained by the city, that there's a large portion of those that are out in a state of disrepair up and down Forest Parkway, as well as Old Dixie. Georgia Power has the ability to take over and install new fixtures and maintain them going forward. So that would be a great opportunity to try and get some of those lights working and increase lighting for your pedestrians. I won't go line by line here. We're totally flexible on these. These are kind of a carte blanche menu of you could choose one, you could choose all, you could choose none.
Just for clarity for the council members, these lights, the majority of what we found were owned by the city. So Georgia Power was not servicing those lights. If I'm
for those 118, that's correct. Those are the
Green ones that kind of hook over.
they're black with the shepherd kind of crook top on them with the decorative top. Yes, those are currently owned by the city. We provide electricity. So you will see some line items on I think it was one of the previous slides there, where we do flat bill electricity based on that wattage. So changing those over to LED, you would pick up a service fee if we did all 118 of about $2,900 per month, but you would see a slight increase on that energy cost as well as getting the new lighting. Other areas of recommendation, you've got a high traffic area at the farmers market entrance and exit off of I-75 and the ramp up to I-75, 285. These are just some budgetary estimates that I've put together on what we could do to increase lighting in those areas to promote safety as well. From having this area for lighting for the last, probably about 12 years, I guess, with Georgia Power, I'm familiar. You've got a lot of high traffic areas. Old Dixie over towards 285 as well is not very well lit. So you've got some opportunities to upgrade some high traffic areas. And then as the city would like, as you run across areas that need attention, we are able to upgrade to brighter lighting in those areas or add lighting where there is currently none. And those, again, are kind of as needed, as recommended from you at the city for what you feel are the priorities for your community. And we'll be glad to entertain any questions that you've got.
Thank you, Councilwoman James.
So a couple questions that I kind of jotted down here. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you for your One Light initiative, along with your One Forest Park initiative. We have a great city manager, y'all.
He hit it spot on this because truly one light can make a difference.
Yes. Oh, awesome. So I want to know, can we get to a place where we can expand this to our businesses and because we have a lot of business owners that maybe own the plazas and their plazas are, you know, dark and things like that. So that's something I want to try to consider as well.
Absolutely. The program for the no out-of-pocket cost upgrades
Mhm.
is open to all of our residential and commercial customers. We are on a big push statewide. Georgia Power manages over 900,000 lights across the state, and we are on a huge push to get everybody upgraded to the new LED fixtures so that we can get a consistent upgraded lighting level, and the commercial businesses are absolutely welcome to participate in that.
So if you have documentation on that, maybe we can get that to our businesses. The no out of pocket cost to upgrade.
Yes, and
Okay.
Rick, we actually talked about coming to maybe one of the chamber meetings and getting some time there to make some spread some awareness with the business community as well.
And
Okay.
the other thing I wonder, if we're planning on a citywide business meeting, perhaps if we can identify what those commercial businesses are, or if you know what of some within your respective wards, we're able at that time to, in advance of them coming, share the information that we have relative to, hey, this is this program, this is the way that you can upgrade your existing lights on your property with no upfront costs. It just allows for additional visibility for them, and it helps our police department out on the safety issues that we're having, especially on Jonesboro Road.
Very much.
Second question I have is regarding solar lighting. Do Georgia Power do anything with solar power and lights that use the sun?
We are working on some pilot programs with some solar fixtures. The technology is wonderful where you have extra finances to invest in the upfront cost because it is very expensive. And then you've also got to have a clear viewing area of the pole unobstructed. We can't use those in trees yet. The technology is just not there to get 100% full burn throughout the night. We're getting there and moving forward. We'd be glad to pilot on, some test locations or something like that if you have some sites in interest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Antoine.
I like to add one more value add to that. And we can have a separate conversation about this, but we also have under our energy efficiency program, we have a SCDI program. So it's small commercial direct install program where we take care of up to 70% of material and costs for upgrading interior lighting fixtures. Again, that's separate from our exterior program, but please keep that in mind as well and reach out to me as your key account manager to help evaluate the opportunities for the interior lighting as well.
Thank you, Councilman Antoine.
You guys have cards? Business cards?
Oh, card. Yes, absolutely.
You have a few streets that I wanted to talk about with you all. Thank you.
Councilman Gutierrez.
I thank you, gentlemen. Nice seeing you, Mr. Jeremy.
Nice to you as well.
I guess the thing I sometimes get complaints from business owners themselves about the lighting, and then I have to explain to them that it's the lighting is, the owner of the property has to put the lighting out there. So I think that would be a great information that we can give out to the actual businesses that are here, because sometimes the landlord is not even in Forest Park. They just collect the rent on all the businesses there. So this is something that all of our businesses could know. And all the lights you mentioned, I know we have a whole bunch on Jonesboro Road, but I didn't hear you say Jonesboro Road. Are you did we have some of those lights? When you mentioned the 118 lights, are some of those on Jonesboro Road as well? Because I only heard Forest Parkway and Old Dixie.
I think you've got 102 of the decorative lights that are on Jonesboro Road and then 16 that run Old Dixie across Forest Parkway.
Okay, thank you. No, and I'm just very blessed. I did this initially with Public Works when I first became a young council member, and it was a lot of lights that we had to tag, and we would put it in for you all to come and address. So I'm glad that Ricky now brought the whole squad out there and brought attention to that so we can get some more effective energy and light up our roads. So thank y'all.
We love the partnership, and we're, just an extension of your staff to help you out and help alleviate some of that work strain for their workforce.
Councilwoman Wells.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. This is great. I just hope we start in the residential. I'm sorry, my voice is gone, you guys, but I just hope we start in a residential area. Thank you so much.
Councilman Mears.
Yes, I noticed on your little thing up there that, of course, I don't have any industrial businesses in my ward, but I do have a small park, Alder Parks on Alder, and it's sort of dark down in that hole, and sure that we could get more use out of the park with some kind of upgrade with the lights, and that would be good down there for the kids that come out at night. Thank you.
Yes, very easy solution. I rode that when we've got an existing power pole that I can come over and put a pole in the park. Pretty simple, straightforward.
And speaking of the parks, we rode through most of the pocket parks in this city.
Yeah.
And some of them really need and could stand for some upgrades to those facilities. The first park that we went to, I forget which one it was. I believe it was on Second Street. The one on Second Street, we promised the residents over there that we will upgrade some of the things that are on us. Ceiling fan doesn't work out there. The lighting didn't work. The only thing they had to do was turn on the switch, but no one knew how to use it. So that's one of the things we plan on using some of the ward funds for, subsidizing our budget to find ways to improve some of these parks. And there's also one off of Jonesboro Road. My apologies, Georgia Power tried to commit them to their money. But there's also one over off of Jonesboro Road that we went, and it's like behind a shopping plaza or something like that.
Theater Park.
Yeah, that's another one that we want to look at some potential upgrades for as well.
Well, Ricky, Falcon took about $17,000 of my capital outlay money drawing up the upgrades. So the upgrades are ready for you.
Got it.
All right, do we have executive session? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Do we have? Right. 2 items. Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to recess the work session, enter into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, and legal matters.
So moved.
Ask Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second.
Ask Councilman Mears, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We shall return. We're gonna close it out. and take a quick break. All right, is there? Councilman Gutierrez?
You just can't go do it. We don't have a quorum. Take a break now.
No, oh, well, no, we can. Okay, as soon as we get our council persons back, we can, proceed. Now, is there a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene into our work session?
So move.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Thank you. And we're gonna wait for the other two council persons to return before we get started with the regular meeting. I'm sorry?
Show these business. Show that. Yes. But. So it's the money. It's just only a couple.
I didn't adjourn this.
Oh, I know. They just deserve no. They're not even in my ward, actually. But they are deserving.
Anything here for the work? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. So it is 7:10. And the regular session for mayor and council for August 21st is called to order. Elder Wanda, oh, yes, ma'am. So all those who are able to stand, can you please do so for our invocation and then remain standing for our pledge of allegiance?
Let us pray. Father, we come before you on today just to say thank you for allowing us to participate and to meet. Lord, we are asking you tonight that as the agenda goes forth, Lord God, that we would be able to be an example to other cities, Lord God, that they would see the unity, that they would see the progress, they would see the strength, and they would see the coalition of this body. Father, we ask this right now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Roll call for August 21st, 2023, regular session. Mayor Butler,
Present.
Councilmember James.
Present.
Councilmember Anton.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's blessed.
Member Gutierrez.
Hello, everybody present.
Councilmember Akins Wells.
Here.
Member Beers.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a forum.
All right, thank you. City Manager's report, Mr. Clark.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor and council, first, thank you. This report is provided to you every month. I'm chronologizing the operations for our city.
They knew it was gonna be a long one.
Mayor Butler, that concludes my report. But no, one of the things that, good one, Mr. Gutierrez. One of the things we always like to do is recognize our new employees. So here tonight, we have two of our newest employees. So as I call your name, if you would, please stand. We have our new Director of Code Enforcement, Mr. Derek Walker. We have our new multimedia specialist coming to us from CNN, Mr. Kwame. And we also have our next new hire starting on September 5th, our city clerk, Ms. Randy Rainey, if you would please stand. Mayor and council, this report provided to you tonight is 68 pages. We will not go through every page. However, there are some notable items that we would like to point out. Our revenue recovery efforts. So I'll ask members of our finance department to stand. Mr. Jeremy, our interim finance director, One of the things that we are most proud about within this report is that we've been able to collect close to $100,000 of back taxes just on this revenue recovery effort citywide. So again, thank you to Mr. Jeremy and his team as we work tirelessly to get a better understanding of outflows and inflows of our financials for fiscal responsibility. The other thing I'd like to point out to you is that our Office of Recreation and Leisure continues to be extremely busy. There we go. For the month of July, we were able to issue over 162 daily passes with over $9,000 worth of reservations, total revenue in the amount of $28,000. In addition to that, one of the things that we're working on citywide is ensuring that we fill all of our vacancies across this city organization. For the Offices of Information Technology, we continue to improve operations citywide. For the month of July, we had a total of 298 tickets with 291 of them being closed. We're also bringing on a new individual second in command in our Information and Technology Department in September. We're super excited with Mr. Cox and his limited team for all of the work that they continue to do to ensure that our organization is brought into the 21st century with all of our technology, not only servicing our employees, but servicing our elected body as well. For our Public Information Office, also known as our Press Secretary, Mr. Javon Lloyd, Mr. Javon has really far exceeded any and all expectations for his role. For this month alone, he was able to have 2 of his requests picked up from Fox 5, 2 of his press releases picked up from 11 Alive News, and 3 of his stories picked up from the Clayton Crescent. This is amazing because this means his reach is getting this organization on local news. So, Mr. Javon, if you would please stand and be thanked. For our Office of Code Enforcement, we continue to work tirelessly to ensure that Forest Park is the cleanest city in the world. With the efforts of our new director, we feel confident that we'll be able to get this done. Council members, we sent out to you today, or the council aides will be sending it to you if you don't already have it. Mr. Walker has come in and he's already looking to get active. One of the things that Mr. Walker shared was he believed a lot of our issues are because individuals, residents, as well as stakeholders don't understand what the job of code enforcement is. And for that reason, we have scheduled a slew, or code enforcement has scheduled a block party for every ward, which we're paying for everything. It's just a way to bring the community out to get them to meet who our code enforcement officers are. Moving on to our Human Resources Department, council members, as you know, we held a very large job fair on July 31st. At that job fair, we had over 100 participants, and we were able to get out about 16 conditional offers for employment just to ensure that our vacancy rate is reduced to a minimum of between 1% to 2%. So a big thanks to our HR department. For municipal court, I'm our new court administrator here, council. I've been sending you correspondence relative to the operations within our municipal court. We're continuing to work with them to ensure that all of the backlog of tickets that we have are caught up and to ensure that our caseloads are adequate to a court of our size. So we're continuing to work with them. Courts are fully functional. Mr. Cedric McKay, is in the process of hiring 2 additional employees within municipal court. And at such time, municipal court will be fully operational and we'll be able to separate it from the services of the police department. And the next thing we look to bring before you, Mayor and Council, is the Division of Probation Services. Moving on to our Moving on to our police department, we continue to see a downward trend in our crime. Our total Part 1 crimes percent change in July was negative 14.3%. In its totality, we're excited to see a decrease in our Part 1 crime and our Part 2 crimes. Chief Chris, for the month of July, they had a total of 7,575 calls for service. of which 6,483 were police. Of course, you know, a lot of those are self-initiated. And I think with the exception of the position of assistant police chief, our police department executive cabinet is fully staffed. So we're excited about their continued commitment to ensuring that our community is acclimated to the happenings within our police department. And we're also excited to relaunch the Citizens Police Academy, of which several individuals in this room are participants. One of the largest things that we're seeing around Forest Park are the larcenies. So we would heavily encourage everyone to ensure that you are locking those doors and removing those valuables from inside your cars, because people are coming into our community and breaking in cars. And these crimes of opportunities are not happening by residents in our city, it's people coming in. So our police department, through the efforts of Chief Chris and his command staff, we're diligently working to let individuals know that if you want to commit crimes, this is not the place to come. All right, moving on to our Office of Finance, Department of Finance. Council, as you know, we've had a concerted effort on collecting and issuing citations to all of the businesses within Forest Park that have been delinquent and or did not have a business license. For that effort, we have collected $53,000 in just back fees from property owners or business owners in this community that did not have a license. We're continuing to work through various projects within the Department of Finance just to ensure that we have accountability on all sides within that respective departments. For our fire department, a big kudos to our chief of fire, Chief Clemens, on a recent designation that she received just last month relative to the executive staff of the fire department. Chief Clemens continues to put forth cutting edge technology and policy development to ensure that we can continue to grow that department. Within that department, we had a total of 306 fire responses and a total of 65 inspections. All right, moving on, Office of Public Works. Public Works, as you know, is responsible for maintaining 79.923 miles throughout the city of Forest Park. Our Public Works participated with the job fair on 7/31. At current, we have roughly 11 positions that we're looking to fill or looking at reevaluating some of those positions. But our Public Works continues to work with Waste Management just to ensure that we're able to release information relative to what's happening with sanitation, both commercial and residential, in the city of Forest Park. In total, our Building and Maintenance Department had 151 service hours, and our clean sweep was a total of 59 service hours within our Department of Public Works. And our Department of Planning and Community Development, we're continuing to work on this modernization and digitization of that office so that the Office of Community Development becomes a one-stop shop for all things business licenses. So we're just excited to work with LaShawn and her team as we look to unveil that hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days, or at least the first portion of that rollout, to ensure that individuals looking to do businesses or permitting within the city, you can do it under one roof. In addition to that, we'll skip to our Economic Development Department. We've really had an uptick in activity for economic development. We're working on a concerted or unified retreat between our Downtown Development Authority, our Development Authority, as well as the URA, so that everyone is on the same page and we're working towards a shared vision of One Forest Park. And then looking at how can we do economic development within some of the wards, as well as some of our more commercial and more dense areas. We were able to get the CEO of MARTA down for a tour over at Gillum Logistics Center, because we know there's an increased awareness of the need for public transit over at Fort Gillum. All right, we're almost there, Councilman Gutierrez. That concludes the report that I have for you on tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have relative to the happenings within your local government.
Excellent, very comprehensive. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, we're gonna request that he has his own meetings on the third Wednesday.
Item 1, presentations. Is it Craig 1300? Community Risk Reduction Presentation. Background and history. The Forest Park Fire Department has a new tool called Craig 1300 that helps uncover risks, prioritize where to focus resources, and communicate data-driven plans with pre-curated visualizations that can be shared with community leaders. In this presentation, we will show a video, talk about what is CRR, which is Community Risk Reduction, what is CRA, Community Risk Assessment, our community social vulnerabilities, and our incidents. PowerPoint presentation will be given by Ms. Armstrong and our very own Chief Clemens.
I just wanted to come back and say greetings, Mayor and Council. I didn't do that in my previous statement when I got up, so I'm going to pass it over to my esteemed colleague.
All right, thank you.
I was hoping she would read this for me, but said not. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and those in attendance tonight. As Chief mentioned, my name is Joanna Armstrong, and I'm the Emergency Management Coordinator for our EMA here in Forest Park. So we just wanted to take a few minutes and introduce this new tool. It's called Craig 1300, and that will assist us in conducting community risk assessments from information that is data-driven and specific to us here in the city of Forest Park. That is what the tool looks like. And it is based off of the NFPA 1300 standard, which is the National Fire Protection Association. And that standard is community risk assessment and community risk reduction plan development. Next one. We just mentioned what we were going to go over, so we don't need to look over on that one. So what exactly is community risk reduction? I'm not going to read that entire slide, but it's summed up quite well in that first sentence. It's a process to identify and prioritize local risks, followed by the integrated and strategic investment and resources to reduce their occurrence and impact. The more that communities implement community risk reduction, the safer our responders will be, and resources become allocated appropriately, and protecting the community really becomes an all hands on deck approach. Next slide, please. But before we can create a comprehensive community risk reduction plan and implement it, the first thing that we actually have to do is a community risk assessment. And that assessment relies on data, and that data then provides the foundation of knowledge about our community. So by highlighting strengths and challenges, we can then prioritize and develop a plan for all hazards for our Forest Park community. Next slide. So this is a screenshot. It's going to lead us into the actual dashboard. From the home page, you can see here on the left-hand side, the different information that you can access and learn more about our community. And it's vital that we understand the needs of those that we serve. For example, not everyone in the community was born here, and members of our community have different educational and cultural backgrounds. So this might mean that they have specific needs from our department. By understanding residents' backgrounds, we can better plan for language and cultural barriers. And additionally, our residents work in a variety of occupations unique to our community. And lastly, many of our calls for services will occur in a home. By making residents safer in their homes, we can help ensure a higher quality of life. So that section provides insight into where our population lives, the type of homes that they live in, and the people that reside in those homes. Next. This is one of the examples from those sections that we just discussed. The data source that Craig 1300 uses for this one in particular is actually taken from the U.S. Census Bureau. And whenever that data source itself gets updated, Craig 1300 is about a week behind or so in updating our dashboard as well. So it's very instant. It doesn't take long, and they're constantly, whatever data source that they have pulled in our dashboard continuously gets updated, except one of the last ones that we'll discuss. But the dark line there represents our boundaries, and then those 3 dots are the fire stations. I can't show you how the map feature works because it's a screenshot, but you can scroll in, zoom out. If you hover over with your mouse, the different colored sections, it'll like pinpoint, it changes the population. It's really cool, all the features that you can do with it. Next slide. The other thing, the next section under it is understanding the social vulnerability. I can never say that word, challenges faced in our community. And that helps us better assist those that we serve. And it comes in many forms, as you can see there. For example, the employment and job access, impact socioeconomic status, traffic, access to healthcare, and overall health, all of which are tied into community safety. Under that section, you'll find information on our unemployment rate, where our residents work, the employment access index, and the kind of jobs that exist in our community, and per capita income. The next section there, poverty and affordability, you'll find data on people or families living below the poverty level. And you'll also find information on household incomes and housing affordability to include the median home values and the median rent values. Dependents referring to residents who are either children or the elderly, as we know, may be at a greater risk for and during an emergency. So by understanding the vulnerability of our residents, we can plan for services and engage partners that are already providing direct assistance programs to them. And it's also important to consider how risk differs for people with disabilities and how their disabilities could impact an individual's ability to identify and respond in an emergency. This section provides data about the population, such as the percentage of those living with a disability in our community and where they're located. The language isolation section gives us data on the different languages spoken in our community, and it even highlights areas where English is not the primary language. And so understanding this will increase successful prevention educational efforts, but it could also result in better outcomes for residents during an emergency. And the last section there, I think it got cut off, is low educational attainment. And knowledge of this, of the community's educational and literacy rate is critical for reaching all populations in our community and communicating safety messages appropriately. So for all of these sections, I mentioned the US Census is one of the data sources, but they're pulling this from the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index, US Census and US HUD and DOT. So all of those different data sources, anytime they update their info, Craig 1300 will also update it for us here in Forest Park. All right, we're almost there. Our incidents, this section, we wanted to highlight because it uncovers information about the community's past experience and trends in emergency incidents. So combining this data with what we just talked about, we begin to understand correlations. We locate areas for prevention and education efforts, and then we can begin to tailor the community risk reduction activities specific to the needs of our community. Next slide. Last slide. This data source is actually taken directly from our reports that we have to give to NFIRS, the National Fire Incident Reporting System. It's actually 3 years worth of data from January 1st of 2020 to December 31st of 2022. It's the only section that has a delay in updating itself because we have to download the data from NFIRS and then send it to them. So this one's a little bit behind, but overall, it's still a great way to provide a broad look at the department's total incidents. So if you go under here, any of those categories, you'll see everything that the fire department receives a call for, including EMS, fires, etc. Next one. That's it. That pretty much is the presentation. There's a lot of other things that we didn't cover there. It's a really, really cool tool. I hope that each and everyone will take the time to check it out. The link for it is there. At the screen. It's public. You can view it. It doesn't have any personal protective information on it or anything like that, but it's a really great tool and I'm excited to have it. It'll help. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Councilwoman James, any questions or comments?
Thank you. This was, it's great information. It's a lot that you all have your hands on. So question is, how do we as a fire department utilize the data? Like, for example, will it help us to determine whether we need another firehouse somewhere or?
It could. So this is a tool for assessment and analyzes actual data. It won't tell you how to correct something, right? So it will say that in this area, we have 80% of EMS calls are falls, slips and trips. So now we can focus on why are we having this kind of thing happen in this area, and we can target messaging there. For example, for fires, what area are having more structure fires, and in those you can dial in even more and see out of those fires, which one had functioning smoke alarms or not. So do we need to do another smoke alarm blitz and that kind of thing? So it gives you the data behind so that you can formalize your plan, prioritize the needs in our community specifically, and then we can start the educational process and further.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Councilman Antoine?
Yeah, it's a game changer. I really appreciate this.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I guess my question would be, I guess, what's the next steps as far as follow-ups with this? Would we get a report, or you guys, I guess internally, the chief gets a report of this?
Anyone can access this, so you can actually scroll it and see it too. The really cool thing about this is not only internally to help us develop our community risk reduction plan moving forward, it's great for people that don't know anything about Forest Park because it puts all that data together. So say they were interested in maybe moving here or coming to work here, but they don't know anything about it. They can just access that link and find out for the most part, whatever they wanted to learn, so it's great for just PR and getting our name out there.
I guess if we can share this on the website then.
Yes, that was, oh yeah, we're definitely going to be working with. I just wanted to show it here tonight before we went and posted it anywhere.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wells.
That was I just asked Mr. Clark that, like, is this on the website? Because that is very informative information. So thank you all so much for all that you continue to do. Thank you.
Councilman Mears.
Thank you for that information. Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the recognition for, or of the African American Businesses Month. Council recognition of African American Business Month. And so I'm going to ask the council to meet me down front. We have a few proclamations to give out.
will be approved.
That's what I see, like, why would I say that? Is that question? You hear that? No, this year. This year. Yeah, because we should have all been a part of it.
Okay, let's see.
Somebody got cheesesteaks. We didn't get them.
Public
Somebody do
comments.
cheesesteak. So happy. What's this man?
Okay, we have three speakers. Mr. Zach Parker, you have the floor, sir. Ms. Hood?
Ah, nice. Howdy. I noticed here tonight when we're doing the YouTube presentations and broadcasting on YouTube, I would like to make a suggestion that the presentation is shown on YouTube or either like the screen or either it's linked in the description. I know some of it is on the website, but just to be clear for those at home who may not be able to come in. I'd also like to let you know my appreciation for my friend Ward 4 Councilwoman for Forest Park Day's success, bringing the community together. I also would like to express my gratitude for your appreciation for your guidance at times, keeping me level-headed sometimes. Of all people, you keeping me level-headed. Right?
Okay, I'll take it.
And also I'd like to express my appreciation for the city manager. You seem to have done a lot of work, possibly more work than our last two city managers combined. And I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank you for making sure I got my minutes last time. I was kind of perturbed being interrupted, but I appreciate it for doing that. Also for Councilman Gutierrez for his support as well. I appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank the mayor for allowing me to speak uninterrupted tonight. I appreciate that. And I would also appreciate if you would answer the questions the constituents have. I know it's at your discretion, but the constituents come up here to speak their mind, to be heard, and it would be nice if they were answered. Thank you. That's all.
Ms. Thompson. Miss Mary Thompson?
Hi, my name is Mary Thompson. I live at 608 Lamar Drive. I am here tonight to talk about waste management. Waste management is, my property sits right in the front door of waste management. My home was there years before waste management, but yet it somehow made it through. And it is a thorn in my side, and it has been for quite some time. I have a problem with debris in my yard practically all the time. I have a problem and an issue with the trucks. They start work at 6 a.m. For 6 days a week, they go until 5 or 6 p.m. 5 days a week, they go up until 5 p.m. They are constant traffic most of the time. It's getting to a point now where the trucks are beginning to back up right in front of my home, down the street, down Lamar Drive. When someone is visiting my home, they find it difficult to come around the trucks because sometimes they meet another car coming up the street. So that's an issue for me. Also, one of my main issues though is my home, the structure of my home. The structure of my home is changing. I can feel my floor vibrating. It's not really hard. It's a mild vibration, but I can yet feel it. There is a glass object on my dresser in my bedroom. You can hear it rattling sometimes when the trucks go by. There's a big hole in the street, right down the street from my house. And if the trucks hit that street, you can hear the vibration of that glass object really, really well. Last year, the ceiling in my bedroom collapsed, and we have yet to find out what caused that collapse. And I am very afraid that someday the whole house may collapse. And I pray daily that I pray that it doesn't happen, but I pray mostly that if it does, I'm not in it. Because that particular day when my bedroom ceiling collapsed, I had only been out of it for about 20 minutes. There is in my kitchen floor, there is cracks in the floor, and it's just a lot of things that I feel that it is affecting my home. I also wanted to mention the fact that I would like the waste management to at least put a fence around my home to try and help protect some of the debris from coming in my yard. It blows all over the place. Sometimes it's up and down Lamar Drive, not just in my yard. When those trucks are sitting there, a lot of times they are draining, and I have no idea what. I have no idea what they are draining. And I'm concerned about that very much so.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. You want to do it now? Okay, Mr. Clark.
Ms. Thompson, my staff and I will get with you after this meeting. Some of the things we wanted to share with you is that this has been a matter brought before us, and we convened a meeting with Waste Management 2 weeks ago in an effort to try to figure out some solutions for your property. As you know, or you may not know, the trash cleanup was going from the transfer station up to the police department. So we're trying to get them to expand it from the police department up to Old Dixie. In addition to that, we have a grant program that'll be out within the next 30 days, and it's for exterior modifications of homes. And I think that would qualify for the fence on your property to help keep some of that debris in. So someone from my team will be out to visit you and assist you with completing that grant application to, at a minimum, see about fixing some of the things relative to your house structurally, and then looking at how can we use this grant program to in fact put a fence around your property to keep that trash or debris off of your property. This is something that I know it's only a small fix, but I think it's the least we can do just based upon the conditions in which you are in. But just know that your city government is working tirelessly to try to come up with a solution.
Thank you.
Ms. Falami?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just want to echo off what my neighbor said. You know, I don't know how you all came out and saw your property this morning, but normally we put our trash bin on our property. But when these dumpsters come to retrieve them, they don't place them back in the yard. They actually just throw them down in the street. When I came out of my home this morning, I was just very, very unhappy to see from as far as I could see trash cans in the center of the street, not placed back on our property. Enough of that, but I'm glad she was able to make that a contact because she called me all day. But moving on, I want to give kudos to our great weekend we had here in Forest Park. Commissioner Dr. Anderson and Councilman Well, there was an outstanding Forest Park Day. The community was very happy, and the performance by Baby Scrappy and the rest of them guys, that's what they wanted and that's what they got. But saying that to say this, I'm not into rap, but if you want to know about the Mighty Clouds of Joe, I can talk about that. But I'm not into rap. But at any rate, I also want to give from the concerned citizens apology to, I'm trying to think of her name, that's why I was prolonged, Miss Hood. Many people got her position kind of screwed after Miss White left. So she was getting a lot of kind of very, I think, displeasing calls. But when they called me to talk about it, I said, well, first of all, she's just filling in.
until we get a certified clerk to do what we want to do. And that is because it deals with voters registration. So Ms. Hood, I apologize on behalf of the concerned citizen. I think you're doing an amazing job, and I just heard you're gonna have help any day. Now let me move on because it's my clock time. So at the end of the day, we want to thank our police department for keeping us safe and protected at this event. We did have one that got out of place, but myself and Coach Maxwell, we stood over there, and it was so ironic, Chief. We said, Sergeant, I hope I get his rank right, Sergeant Lewis, he was standing on the hill, so we were calling the play. Myself and Coach Maxwell, I said, well, I'm gonna call him a wide receiver. So when everybody went to go get the young man, Sergeant just went across there and took care of it. I'm proud of you all. Y'all worked real good. But I called that one. But anyway, I do want to talk about the Development Authority, about the income, but I'll come to the Development Authority to talk about it because I do have questions about that bond. So thank you. I passed my 4 minutes up.
4 seconds. Thank you. The adoption of tonight's agenda. Now, we do have an amendment, and you're going to state with that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be item 13, correct?
I was gonna suggest you put it right after item 4 as old business, since they both pertain to each other.
Okay.
And this is for the council to approve the amendment of the intergovernmental agreement with Clayton County for election services.
All right, so is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda with the addition of item 4A is what I'll call it, the council to approve the intergovernmental agreement for election services with Clayton County?
So moved.
That was Clayton. That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Now the minutes from August 7th. Has everyone had the opportunity to review them, the work and regular session? And if so, are there any changes to be recommended? I actually have some changes. I did not get the opportunity to submit them to Ms. Hood prior to. And I'll go through them briefly, but I'll give you my copy. So you'll see what I'm referencing on page 22. Where it says Mayor Butler, items 2 and through, it should be 2 and 3 will be grouped together. On page 24. Under Councilman Gutierrez comments, he says, that's not my question. I am saying if it's something related to safety word, I don't know if that is actually accurate or not. So I want you to read. That was, you just, oh. So if you could just listen to the tape again and make sure that that was accurate. It didn't, in my head, it didn't sound right. On page 25, under Mayor Butler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7th paragraph down. It says, once they get there, everyone gets their licenses. That's a bit loquacious in there. Okay, yeah, okay, so you know what I'm saying there. Yes, I made a note of that. On page 26, under Mayor Butler, if they could get it, everything, everyone in compliance. Again, a bit loquacious in there, a couple of extra words in there. I think you're gonna take out everything, but listen to it again to make sure that my recollection is correct. And then page 31, under Mr. Jeter. This used to be automatic renewal. I think maybe an automatic renewal is how it should read. On page 32. Under the city manager's comments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paragraphs down. It says there was a period, and Mr. Patterson, I am not taking this along. It should be alone. And then underneath that, it says, if the city ever win after them, there. Yeah, just fix, please. And let me go to the regular session. All right, so in the regular session on page 40 through and 41, under Mr. Zach Parker's public comments, when you're referencing the code section, if you could just list it correctly, put the dashes in there and such. So there's several in there that will ask for you to correct. Under Ms. Falami's comments, Tariq is spelled incorrectly. If you could correct that. On page 42. I may not have completed this statement, but please refer back to the recording for accuracy. Under my comment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 down. Is Mike, do we need to? And I don't know if I was interrupted or you just picked up, you knew where I was going with that, but that is an incomplete sentence. All right, and that's all I have. Is there any other recommendations, changes to be made? Actually, no, but we talk about that later.
Well, a recommendation, can we just say what the changes instead of reading them all out?
Well, I had to tell her what they were so she could follow along. But I'm going to give you my copy so you can actually see what I marked down. All right, so if I'm not hearing any other changes or corrections, is there a motion to group said minutes together and approve with the recommended changes?
So moved.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is
I'll
there a second? Councilwoman James, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 4, council approval of the charter amendment to establish new ward lines. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So move.
That was Councilwoman Wells. Is there a second?
A second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Ma'am.
Thank you. The added item 4A, council approval on the intergovernmental agreement for the election services with Clayton County. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 5, council approval of a conditional use permit for the self-storage at 4140 Jonesboro Road, but actually this is to overturn the veto.
This is to consider a possible override, but if there's no motion to override, it just dies.
Is there a motion to override the mayor's veto?
No.
All right, thank you. Item 6, council approval of a change order for the Main Streetscape project. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved, man.
Councilman Antoine, is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Ma'am.
Item 7, council approval of the Elmig Street paving. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion?
Mayor Butler, just for clarity purposes, we're proving this in addition to moving forward with also looking to bid out some of our own streets to bring back a cost proposal. This way, with the roads that we've provided you, if we're able to put some of them up, we can, with the understanding that we're still going to go out for bid ourselves for some of the roads to see what kind of pricing and timing we can get.
So do we need to amend that motion or just make that a separate motion?
I would make that a separate motion to authorize staff to proceed on the roads that we can do internally.
Okay, so we need to amend the agenda to do that. Can we make that a supplement?
It's related to that, so you don't need to amend the agenda.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the Elmig Street paving?
We just made that
With
motion.
James and.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm calling for the vote. Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Madam Mayor, a motion would be in order to authorize staff to bid out projects that we can do internally.
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
A second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells,
Yes.
and Councilman Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, council approval of reaffirming the commitment to the Civil Rights Policy Title VI. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Council approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Ma'am.
Council approval of a fire department contracts relative to training expenses. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? Councilman Antoine?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Council approval of the revision to the personnel manual with respect to employee suspensions. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
I'll be glad. Yes.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Ma'am.
Item 12, council approval of the One Light Initiative. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? All right, Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez? Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Closing comments by the governing body. Councilwoman James.
Can you come back to me, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Antoine.
Nice to see everybody, new faces. God bless everybody.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. I really got excited about that Craig resource. That's gonna be cool and very informative for our community, especially if we can, target those areas of, vulnerability or growth to keep our people safe. So great resource, Chief, in your department. Thank you for bringing that up. Welcome to our new employees. Had a lot of fun at Fun Friday and at the Forest Park Day. Just really excited to see all our community come out and also the collaboration between the governments. I think that's very essential. We can come together and bring the resources together for an amazing day. We start our tailgate season this Saturday, and I'm really excited. A lot of teams, other teams, which it's whatever. I'm more local teams, but it's cool to have them there so they can see what we do here, especially if our residents are, fans of another team. They can come out and enjoy the tailgate. So it'll start this weekend. Then we have some other dates planned for y'all. So thank you, Director Maxwell, in your department and Public Works, just, for this upcoming event, but just for everything. I was looking at the park and just how, that night it was a lot of trash there, and the next day it was just all gone. So thank you for your hard work on that. Really, really proud of my city, our city, for recognizing all these businesses today. Thank you for choosing Forest Park. I think, we get these big businesses that, everybody gets excited about, but I think the backbone of our city are all of these small hidden gems we have within our city. So all you small businesses that are not so small, because you make people happy every day when they go to you. So thank you for that. These are some pictures of our back to school bash. I was out there busting a sweat. It was hot that day. But we gave out a whole bunch of resources with Victoria Williams, support our Forest Park High School PTSA there, which later, took the L against Morrow, unfortunately. But, it's just got the loss out the way for the first game, and we're going to hop back. I know that. So, yeah, had an amazing time there. Had to go home and take a power nap. Then I went to fun Forest Park Day, and that was amazing. So yeah, with that, we have our food truck event. I just want to let y'all know that Food Truck Friday will not be the first Friday this month. It is Labor Day. So we are moving our cleanup to the second Saturday of the month and the second Friday of the month. So come on out and enjoy. And I think that's it for me. If anybody has any questions, make sure you register to vote. This is an election year, so it's very important to register to vote, to make sure you make your voice heard. Again, I always tell the same story, but local elections are decided on, very few votes. My partner here won by 3 votes last election. I won by 7 votes 4 years ago. So make sure that you go out and vote and exercise your right and hold us accountable so we can deliver as elected officials.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wells.
Yes, first I would like to say happy birthday to my auntie, Miss Hope, Miss Gwen Allison of Hope Funeral Homes. Her birthday was on yesterday. She celebrated, so happy birthday, Aunt Gwen. And she too is a lifelong resident of Forest Park. Great. Her and her daughter Hope do a lot in the community. And she's just a very sweet, sweet, sweet woman. And I married into the family, but it's an honor to be a part of your family and your legacy. And I love you and happy birthday. And Zach Parker. I thought he was gonna stay here so he can hear me. And I'm just gonna say this because I know that I have come a long way. And some people have and are helping me, is helping me along my journey. And Mr. Zach, I actually met him on Nextdoor. I don't even get on Nextdoor no more because it's just terrible. But I met Zach there and I just thought he was this terrible person. And we had back and forth, run-ins. And one day I invited him into my home. He came over, he sat down, I fed him some other pork chops and some rice and some good stuff. I can cook, y'all, I can cook. No, but we sat down and we talked about life and we talked about everything. He ended up coming to support my son at his basketball games. So some people judge people based on how they look or because they may have said something that you don't like, but you don't get to know people for who they are. And I see a lot of me in him, because people don't get to know me. They just feel some type of way based on what they see or what they hear. And Zach is a really great person. So yes, when he's doing things that I don't agree with, like I heard he had done some things and guess what? I told him off and I walked away and then we end up messaging each other. It's just all about communication. A lot of things can be resolved if you just communicate. And so I just wanted to tell that little story because we were once what I felt were enemies and then we became friends and, I can help him. I can help him when I see he's doing things that shouldn't be done. And he can help me, which is crazy, but he can help me too. So I just want to say that part. And Ms. Thompson, thank you for coming tonight. Ms. Thompson lives in my ward. And for a long time, we have had this waste management discussion, this discussion. And I went to her home a couple of weeks ago. And I know I talk about it a lot, but I feel like we are just not listening. People are not listening. And we want to put a Band-Aid on it to cover it up. And we want to do this to cover it up. But although it's not in nobody else's ward, it's in the city of Forest Park and it's affecting our residents. And so, yeah, the fence sounds good, but you have to go to her home and actually see what this station being there is doing to her home. And if it's doing it to her home, it's doing it to other homes in the area as well. And it's just not fair. And you wouldn't want it done to your home. You want it done to your parents' home, your grandparents' home. So I just think it's time for us to stop making excuses and do something. And I know legally it may take a lot, but I feel like it's worth it. Because if we can pay for the $140,000 for some bricks on Main Street, then guess what? We can pay some money for our residents to be comfortable. And I'm gonna keep talking about it until we stop putting Band-Aids on it and get something done about it. And if that takes us coming together for once for something that's gonna impact our residents, let's do it. Let's stop talking about it and let's do it. Because it's sad. And she showed me, when I sat on her sofa, she showed me the damage that this business being there is doing to her home. And she was there first. And her way of life, the way she lives matters to me, and it should matter to all of us. So, Ms. Thompson, I am with you, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until something gets done. So thank you so much for listening to me and coming to the meeting and letting other people hear what you are going through, because you shouldn't have to go through it. Jonathan Rashmere, I seem like I gotta say your name every time I come up here because you just do so much. You do so much to give back to our community, and I appreciate you so much for picking up where your father left off. I thank you so, so much for being a sponsor for Fun Fridays, being a sponsor for Forest Park Day, and just being out in the community, because a lot of businesses are here, they get paid, they go home and live wherever they live, but you're actually in the community. And so I appreciate you for that. And I think that, oh, and I want to thank our public works department, our fire and our police department. Cause you guys were on point on Saturday. Y'all were on point and y'all were there in the community. You showed up and you showed out. And yes, somebody tried to act crazy, but baby, those are some well-trained officers. You hear me? Cause they got out there and they did what they needed to do. But that is just a picture of the community coming together. You may not like the event, you may not support the event, but you cannot hate on the community coming together. And we came together and people came from everywhere. The kids enjoyed the wrestling show. I mean, we had so many vendors, and again, Clayton County and the city of Forest Park coming together and working with Dr. Alika. I appreciate the Clayton County for being a sponsor, but it just shows unity, you know, because a lot of things get old, and I try not to be long-winded, but some things just need to be talked about, and I'm gonna talk about them. You know, you go through things and people feel certain ways about people, but unity in the community is everything. And I'm all about my community. I'm all about bringing my community together any way that I can. And if this is what it takes, this is what I'm going to work towards. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that played a part in making Forest Park Day a huge success, and our city manager for being a people's person and actually sitting up under the tree in the tent and just enjoying the people and the people enjoying you. So thank you all so much. And we'll see y'all next Fun Friday, which is next month.
Councilman Mears.
I too want to thank everybody for coming tonight. You realize that this is where your business gets took care of. As my rule is, I'm going to acknowledge the oldest participating citizen in the meeting tonight, and that's Mr. Finch back there. Do I have a second on anybody that's older than Mr. Finch?
Oh,
Bruce is fighting.
Me and him's real close. It's not a deterrent. I hope I live that long. But thank you for coming, Mr. Finch, and appreciate everybody coming and come back and hold us accountable for what we do every day. Thank you.
Councilwoman James.
Yes, Madam Mayor. So as my colleague said, thank you all for coming out. I want to say that my ward meeting, which I host every third Thursday of the month, we're having it at the senior center these days. But the post will be available this week. I'll make it available to our council aides to get it on the website. Guys can go back and listen to it. I really want to say thank you to Mr. Clark for all that he has brought to the city of Forest Park, and and really a shout out to all of our staff and our employees. I always say at my ward meetings that we have our subject matter experts, our people that run the city, our department heads, and our staff. You guys do an amazing job, and we are grateful to you all for what you do. Thank you to all of the new employees, new staff members that we have. We're excited about the future. The future looks bright. We have a lot of great things coming down the pipeline. Our city is in a great place, guys. You just got to know that there's some development coming. There's some things being done. Businesses are coming. We are moving in the right direction, and we're excited. And I think we have a great leader in Mr. Clark to help us get to where we want to go. Also mark your calendar for September the 23rd. It's a Saturday. It is going to be our homecoming parade. We're going to celebrate our Forest Park High School candidates, homecoming court candidates, as well as our football team and whoever else wants to participate. We're asking for our alumni, if you graduated from Forest Park High School, to consider being in the parade. We have our Sling Nation that's going to participate in the parade. But please, let's make that day a great day. And then finally, tomorrow is qualifying. We have wards 3, 4, and 5 that is up for a re-election. So if you or anyone you know that's interested and think you can do a better job, then you have your opportunity. And as Councilman Gutierrez said, make sure you exercise your right to vote. And remember the lines. I think everybody has received their little card in the mail of the redrawing of the lines. So there are some some things that have changed as far as what ward you may be in. And I think we have that too, Mr. Clark, that you made available to town hall. That's live.
We're taking everything live tomorrow with pursuant to the action of this meeting tonight.
Okay. All right. So there you go. You all have a great day.
Councilwoman Wells?
No, I just had one more thing when Councilman Mears mentioned Mr. Finch. So I want to let him know that we are doing some upgrade. We have a garden in Ward 4 that was named after Mr. Finch. And I want him to know that that garden is we're about to do some great things there. We've ordered some things to make it nice and we're gonna get out. And we have some great people that's gonna assist with that. So I just wanted to let you know that your garden will not look like your garden once we get done. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. And Councilman Gutierrez.
It's on Lee Street. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, sorry, just want to let everybody know that Sunday at the senior center, our senior Panthers in Action and the senior center are gonna have a sip and paint. Of course, it's juices, but we're gonna be painting as well. So sip and paint at the senior center. If y'all have any questions, Tanisha, and our Miss Marcia, the council aide, can give you that or myself. And then Miss Thompson, thank you so much for letting us know, just your narrative. And I think it just needs to keep coming up from our citizens. I noticed that, I am not on that side of town often, and I had gone to the police center and I to the sheriff, well, not the sheriff, our police station. And you can see it on the road, like one side of the road is all black. And it's when those trucks come in with all those juices they're letting go on the street, and then like flies out there look like bats. And I could see like just all the mildew. There's like this like stuff on cars, and I know it's from there. So I don't want anybody living in those conditions. So just, I think with our new city manager, we're gonna find a solution for this. So thank you for coming up here, and we heard you loud and clear. Okay, ma'am.
All right, I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. Thank you all for coming out, but we do have to return into executive session. So is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Oh, man. Little grandmama.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene into our regular meeting?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and we do have some items to vote on.
Madam Mayor, based on the discussion in executive session, a motion would be in order to authorize the mayor to sign a release agreement for the police department.
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? All right, Councilwoman James.
Yes.
Councilman Antoine. Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, also based on the executive session discussion, a motion would be in order to authorize the combination of the two positions in finance department into one, and I would ask the city manager to name those positions.
Financial services technician and staff accountant
All right,
Into the position of, what's the name?
with a starting range of
No, the name of the,
staff accountant.
oh, staff account.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Staff accountant.
So move.
all right. Is there a second? All right, discussion. Yes, ma'am.
So what's the two positions?
So the two positions that we're recommending folding would be the financial services technician and the staff accountant. We're folding them so that we can increase the starting pay for the senior staff accountant.
So senior staff accountant
Senior
is
staff
the new
accountant.
name. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
All right, I'll call for the vote. Councilwoman James.
Yes.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells.
Yes.
And Councilman Mears.
Ma'am.
All right.
Finally, a motion would be in order to appoint Miss Randy Rainey to serve the city's city clerk.
So move.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion?
No.
Councilwoman James.
Yes.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Welcome, ma'am. Yes.
Councilwoman Wells
Yes.
and Councilman Mears.
Ma'am.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a final motion before that we get some functioning AC in here.
So move.
A motion to adjourn. Councilwoman
moved.
James, or a second? Councilman Gutierrez, all in favor?
Aye.
Hot.
Thank you.